golden rule number 1, don't run into your teammate.
They've gone into each other! Detonation for the Alpines.
Did you know that Formula 1 drivers experience up to 5G of force during corners? That's 5 times the force of gravity. Welcome to Crash Course, F1's most dramatic teammate collisions. In this video, we will look into the high-stakes world of Formula 1, where split-second decisions can lead to unforgettable drama. Number 10. Coulthard and Hakkinen. Let's kick things off with a classic incident involving two McLaren legends, David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen. It was race day, and the tensions were high. Coulthard was coming from way back in the field, pushing hard to make up positions. As he approached his teammate Hakkinen, something unexpected happened. Coulthard, in his eagerness to overtake, misjudges the distance and touches the back of Hakkinen's car. In a heart-stopping moment, Hakkinen's car spins backwards, engine still running. It's a disaster for the team. After the race, Coulthard owned up to his mistake like a true professional. He said, "It was a mistake on my part. I took him out, and you know what? I can reverse the race. It happens." But that's not where the story ends. The consequences of this crash went beyond just losing points. Coulthard admitted to experiencing mental pain after making such a costly error. It just goes to show that even the best drivers can make mistakes, and the psychological impact can be huge. You know, it's moments like these that remind us that F1 drivers are human too. They're not just faceless helmets zooming around the track, they feel the pressure, the guilt, and the disappointment just like any of us would. Number 9. The Williams Tangle. Now let's fast forward a bit to another teammate clash, this time involving the Williams duo of Mark Webber and Nico Rosberg. Webber and Rosberg were battling it out on track, pushing their cars to the limit. Suddenly, disaster strikes. Rosberg taps the back of Webber's car, sending both Williams' machine into a spin. Can you imagine the frustration in the Williams garage? Two cars, two talented drivers, and now both are out of the race. This incident highlights the delicate balance between competitive racing and team harmony. On the one hand, we want to see drivers pushing each other to the limit, but on the other hand, taking out your teammate is absolutely the last thing any driver wants to do. Number 8. Ferrari's double disaster. Alright, let's move on to a more recent and equally dramatic incident involving Ferrari. It's race day and Ferrari has both cars in strong positions. Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc are battling hard, pushing each other to the limit. The Tifosi are on the edge of their seats, cheering on the red cars. But then Vettel and Leclerc make contact and suddenly both Ferraris are out of the race. Can you believe it? A double DNF for Ferrari was caused entirely by their drivers. The commentators summed it up perfectly. This is totally self-inflicted for Ferrari. You can almost feel the frustration and disappointment radiating from the Ferrari garage. Number 7. Force India's flashback. Now let's talk about a crash that had everyone experiencing deja vu. The collision between Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez of Force India. Picture the scene. Ocon and Perez are battling wheel to wheel, pushing each other to the limit. They're teammates, but at that moment, they're also fierce rivals. Suddenly, contact. Ocon is squeezed into the wall by his teammate. The commentators immediately noted, it's Baku from last year all over again. These two have a history of on-track incidents, and this crash was like watching history repeat itself. After the race, Ocon was understandably upset. He said, "I don't want to analyze or comment about it." You can almost feel the tension and frustration in his words. Number 6. Red Bull's Baku disaster. Alright, now we're getting to one of the most talked about teammate crashes in recent F1 history. We are talking about the Red Bull collision in Baku between Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen. Ricciardo and Verstappen were battling hard, lap after lap. The tension was building with every corner. Ricciardo was looking for a way past, and Verstappen was defending fiercely. Then, coming into a braking zone, it all goes wrong. Ricciardo goes for a late braking move, but Verstappen moves in the braking zone, Ricciardo has nowhere to go, and boom! Both Red Bulls are out of the race in an instant. The team's reaction was one of sheer disbelief. Christian Horner, the team principal, must have been tearing his hair out. Both drivers were understandably upset. Ricciardo said, "I don't want to talk about it," while Verstappen acknowledged it was bad for the team. Number 5. The spectacular flip. Now let's take a step back in time to one of the most spectacular crashes in F1 history. This one doesn't involve teammates, but it's too amazing not to mention. It was the Italian Grand Prix, and Christian Fittipaldi was pushing hard in the final moments of the race. He was right behind his teammate Pierluigi Martini. He was looking for a way past. Suddenly, in a moment that defies belief, Fittipaldi's car touches Martini's, and what happens next is simply incredible. Fittipaldi's car launches into the air, does a complete 360-degree somersault, and lands back on its wheels. The commentators were absolutely stunned. One of them exclaimed, "What an amazingly miraculous escape." The fact that Fittipaldi walked away from that crash is nothing short of a miracle. Incidents like these really put things into perspective, don't they? They remind us of the incredible risks that F1 drivers take every time they step into the car. Number 4. Red Bull's Turkey Tangle. Alright, we're in the home stretch now, but we've still got some dramatic crashes to cover. Let's talk about another Red Bull incident, this time involving Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber in Turkey. Picture the scene. Vettel and Webber are running 1-2, leading the race. It's a dream scenario for Red Bull, but then disaster strikes. Vettel attempts an overtake on Webber, and they touch. Suddenly, both Red Bulls are spinning off the track. The commentators were shocked. "We do not need rain." One of them said, "We've just got drama on the track." And boy was he right. In an instant, Red Bull's perfect race had turned into a nightmare. After the race, both drivers were understandably frustrated. Webber said there was a lot of frustration, while Vettel hoped it would be water under the bridge. But you could tell this incident had created some serious tension within the team. Number 3. The controversial clash. Now, we can't talk about dramatic F1 crashes without mentioning perhaps the most infamous one of all, the collision between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost at the 1989 Japanese Grand Prix. It was the penultimate race of the season, and the World Championship is on the line. Senna needs to win to keep his title hopes alive. He attempts to pass on his McLaren teammate Prost, but they collide, and both cars end up in the runoff area. What happened next is the stuff of F1 legend. Prost got out of his car, but Senna kept going. He rejoined the track and won the race, but was later disqualified, handing the World Championship to Prost. The fallout from this incident was enormous. Senna felt that he had been robbed of the championship. He said, "I refuse to walk away from the fight. It's my nature to go right to the end, and that's what I'm going to do." Number 2. Hamilton versus Rosberg. Alright, let's fast forward to the hybrid era and talk about one of the most intense teammate rivalries in recent F1 history. Lewis Hamilton versus Nico Rosberg and Mercedes. It was a 2016 Spanish Grand Prix. Hamilton and Rosberg are battling for the championship, and tensions are at an all-time high. As they come around the first few corners of the race, disaster strikes. Hamilton gets a great launch off the line, but Rosberg defends aggressively. They touch, and in the blink of an eye, both Mercedes cars are in the gravel trap. It's a double DNF for the team that has been dominating the sport. After the race, both drivers had their own versions of events. Hamilton said, "I saw a gap and went for it," while Rosberg maintained he was defending his position. The stewards ultimately deemed it a racing incident. Number 1. The Multi-21 Saga. For our final section, let's talk about an incident that, while not a crash, certainly caused a collision of egos within Red Bull Racing, the infamous Multi-21 controversy between Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber. It was the 2013 Malaysian Grand Prix. Webber is leading the race with Vettel right behind him. The team gives the order Multi-21, which means car number 2, Webber, should finish ahead of car number 1, Vettel. But Vettel had other ideas. In a move that shocked everyone, including his own team, Vettel ignored the order and overtook Webber to win the race. The fallout was immediate and intense. Webber was furious, famously saying to Vettel on the podium, "Multi-21, Seb, Multi-21." The tension was palpable, and you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. After the race, Vettel initially seemed remorseful, saying he had made a mistake, but later he defended his actions, stating, "I was faster, I passed him, I won." The Multi-21 saga showed us that even within a team, drivers are still individuals with their own ambitions and desires. It's a delicate balance, and sometimes, as we saw here, that balance can tip over into controversy. Wow, what a journey through some of F1's most dramatic moments. From teammates taking each other out to spectacular flips and controversial clashes, we've seen it all. So which F1 rivalry do you think has been the most intense over the years? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for joining us on this thrilling journey through some of F1's most dramatic crashes. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more high-octane F1 content. Until next time, keep your eyes on the track and your foot on the gas.